disagree with you. That's it. I ain't
I'm
gonna
tell
call
you
you no
one
name.
take. Gabe would just never. I will argue with him about
Magic Johnson.
this take to the death of me. This is the Magic Johnson take. Him and his crew just seem to believe that Magic Johnson is trash, and I don't. Magic is probably my favorite player of all time, but there's actually a crew of people in basketball media who don't think Magic is good.
Well, them are people. Them are some of the younger people that don't believe in watching clips and watching older players play. Everything above the 2000, anything before the 2000s, if it's not Michael Jordan, they think all them players was ass.
I agree.
Which is terrible.
You want to know why?
I guarantee you ask some of them dudes that said Magic Johnson is trash. I guarantee you they might think Shaq is trash.
At some point, yeah.
That's stupid. It really is dumb.
It's the thing now. The thing with basketball, I think I talked to y'all about this, or I think maybe another one of my friends about this. But when we do things, we compare guys from different eras. The reason it's really rough is we're not taking into account the training and stuff like that. So if we're gonna say things like, if you drop Jerry West in the league today, he wouldn't be doing X, Y, and Z. If you gave guys like Jerry West, I talk shit about him, but Big O, right? Elgin Baylor, who are some other guys, Dr. J, if you drop those guys in the league today, give them today's rules, give them today's trainers, today's workouts, today's conditioning, you can't tell me these guys would probably not be 10 times more dominant. You know what I mean? So that's the thing we have to take into account when we do this thing about drop him in the league today. He's going to be, he's not even going to be in the NBA. Yes, they will. If they dominated the game of basketball during their era, you drop them into another era and give them that conditioning and give them the same resources these guys have now. Absolutely, they'd be better versions of themselves and they still dominate because they know the game.
Yeah. I think one player that you wouldn't even have to give him the training and all the other shit is Wilt, because he was doing shit that people are doing now.
Yeah.
Back in the 60s and 70s. Like, I didn't know he was shooting fadeaways until probably like last year. Like, I saw a tape where he was shooting turnaround jumpers. I'm like, what the hell? Yeah, he one dude that's an exception. He don't need none of that training, all that extra shit to adjust to the game, because he was playing like how they playing now. He was playing like that in the 60s and 70s.
Who are some other guys? I know we talked about this a little bit before, but Blake, who would you say are some other guys right now where you can just go grab them from the 60s, 70s, or 80s that would just try kind of just list them out and explain why, but just guys who you think if you just drop them in the league today, regardless of conditioning or anything, they still pretty much dominate the game they did the way they did in their era. I say one, it's got to be Magic for one.
I'll say Magic. I'll say Kareem. I'll say Dr. J. I'll say George Gervin. I'll say you already said Big O, Jerry West, most of those guys. I mean, look, just because the game wasn't as evolved as it is today doesn't mean those guys are still like trash and nothing like that. Those are extremely dominant and skilled players. And that's just I think that's kind of ignorant just to say like, oh, just because they played, such and such that they wouldn't do this year. What they did still takes an insane amount of skill, even to be. Those are players that we're talking about the top of their games, top of the league, just dominating competition. So, I mean, just to say that it's just kind of that is very ignorant to say, and it shows that you know nothing about the sport of basketball.
Yeah. And like I said, just give them today's resources and give them an off season and just tell me that they wouldn't, because I mean, I like Magic. I know I mentioned him a lot, but Magic, the way he worked out, like people say Magic, which this is one of the biggest myths, but Magic couldn't shoot, which is one of the most ridiculous myths in basketball, because you couldn't go under a screen on him.
Yeah, he was all right.
Yeah, couldn't shoot is a strong word. Couldn't shoot as a player. Like, give me a player right now that can't shoot.
Simmons.
Like, that's a player that can't shoot. Or even Draymond Green to some extent, even though he attempts shots. I would rather have Magic Johnson take a jumper than Draymond at this point.
Yeah. But like about his training, like what did he do to improve his jump shot? He went back. I mean, obviously he had a trainer, but he went back home. I think where he grew up in East Lansing, I think, Michigan.
Yeah.
To go in the backyard and work on his jumper. So give him a dude like give them these shot scientists they have now. Like these guys are breaking down. Literally, these guys are breaking down every fucking movement. Give them that.
You talking about the lethal shooter?
It's so much more that goes into the game nowadays it's so cool to just see how the game kind of like evolves and matures like over the years, and how much more Yeah, how much more effort and how many more resources these guys have now? How much more effort they put into the game and perfecting their craft.
When they made that claim to say that Magic Johnson is trash, did they not realize he won an NBA championship in his rookie year?
Yeah.
Like what trash? What? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. What trash ass dude playing the sport wins a championship and you think he's trash in his rookie year? First of all, I don't even know if that's ever happened for a rookie to do that, play center and win MVP in all the same year of rookie in the NBA. I think he's the only one. But how are you trash if you do that?
Like
they just disrespectful the history of basketball, history of sports in general.
That's what it is.
It's a trend. It's a trend because we live in a world now. Let's be honest. People say crazy stuff to get attention. That's
very true.
It's literally the world we live in. So
it's the same way with music. Like just because
platform.
You said what?
I said we give idiots too big of a platform.
Very true. It's the same thing with music. Like with hip hop. I had to stop myself from it. I remember, your parents play older, hip hop music or whatever, and I think there's such a history behind some of it. We may not really gravitate towards it, but I can never call it trash. I know it's different than basketball, but I can never call it trash because of how it influenced it or whatever. So with Magic, maybe let's say you hypothetically, you don't think he's going to dominate in today's game. To even insult anything that he did is ridiculous. And I think that's the thing with JJ Redick too. Remember, he was, I think, talking about guys playing against plumbers. It's okay to be critical of if you did, if they did, if this, if that, but we don't need to attach these buts, and these ifs to these legends, right? Like my bad call, like my bad, but I think I sent y'all a snap. This in Snap. You know how everybody attaches like an if to like Kyrie or KD or whoever or AD. AD would be X, Y, and Z if. No, these guys are just great skill ball players. There doesn't always need to be this big hypothetical,
Big if, yeah. Now, I was just going to say, like, basically, if you're calling back, I'm going to keep going back to this because it's crazy to me that a person would even call Magic Johnson trash, especially to where him and Larry. Now, I'm mentioning, did they say that Larry Bird was trash too?
I don't know what Gabe's take on it. I don't know. I think generally the younger people in sports are kind of torn on the entire Larry.
They don't realize the NBA was like teetering down in terms of like interest level and ratings, and literally Magic Johnson and Larry Bird brought it back. Literally, like with the shoes and everything, they had a shoe there with Converse and everything. That's when Converse was actually better than Nike.
Yeah,
that's old school shit. But no, I'm saying like literally, if Rajon Rondo would dominate today's game, Magic Johnson would too, because they're kind of similar. They're like similar as players. He's just shorter than Magic Johnson. They're literally the same player. I swear to God.
That's a comparison I never really looked at, but it's very.
Think about it though.
It's very.
Rondo is literally just shorter than him.
Holy shit!
They're the same player.
I don't know why I never thought about that, but Rondo was.
I just thought about it. And listen, and look at the evolution of Rondo's game. At first, he couldn't shoot at all. Then he like learned how to at least have a respectable jumper.
Yeah.
Boom.
Ben Simmons too. Like I always say, I know Ben Simmons is more athletic, but I always say if Ben Simmons, I don't care what happens, he's still an all-star in the NBA, and he's still a top 30 player. So if he's an all-star and if he's an all-NBA player in today's game, then of course Magic is. Magic, if you tell me you give Magic today's spacing, and you give him the way these guys are athletic and running transition, in the way they exploit mismatches. You tell me a 6'9" point guard who's quick, who can pass the ball like he can play half court transition ball. You gonna tell me that motherfucker can't dominate today?
And how tall is Rondo? Like 6'1", 6'2"?
Yeah. Yep.
And you telling me, okay, Rondo at his peak could dominate the NBA because he was dominating the NBA the way he was running the floor and everything and getting everybody ready to play. You telling me Magic can do that? Like, come on.
I wouldn't say dominating. I wouldn't say.
Nah, he was early. Rondo was dominating.
Rondo,
I think
10 assists per game is dominating. Because that's what he was doing.
Some of the assist number, he was having 10 plus assist season. I ain't gonna lie, 2013, he tore his ACL, but the first year he didn't have that was at 2013 or something, but 2013. Around that era, he was definitely if you were a top 5 point guard, you're dominating the NBA. Rondo was a top 5 point guard for multiple seasons. So then I think he dominated for sure.
He was averaging like 15 points without really a jumper at that point. He didn't really start getting one to his last couple of years with the Celtics. Then he started getting traded around the league and everything.
Yeah.
But if you're averaging 15 points and 10 assists, theoretically, that's like 25 points. So however you ever want to say it, 25, 30 points, whatever. It adds up the same. So Yeah.
Rondo's a Hall of Famer, right?
Definitely.
Yeah. He is.
He's
That is
impressive.
right.
He's impressive because he's like the last of like the old breed of point guards. Like not every point guard now for most. I mean, I gotta think about it. Every all-star point guard today, Darius Garland, LaMelo Ball, Steph Curry, John Morant, all these guys are like elite level scorers, and Rondo's not. But he's still a dude that anybody would want to have on their team and start right now today.
The only one that's left is Lonzo.
Yes, very true.
Only one. And he improved this jumper like tremendously. But he's like the only traditional one that's left.
That is very true.
So,
that is a fact.
I think Chris Paul is probably.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
Oh damn.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah. Damn, what's wrong with us? We forgot about
Chris
Paul.
He made sure he mentioned Chris. Look,
that's his boy, though. That's his boy.
I love Chris Paul. Oh, average ass nigga. I'm just playing.
Carl don't like Chris Paul.